Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Spale again. I took off my work apron because I just wanted to talk to you for a little bit. I know that this is a difficult time and you may have a lot of strong feelings. And I want you to know that it's okay to have strong feelings. It's just what we do with them so that we can manage. That means that so we can feel okay with our feelings. So I brought the friends of Inside Out to talk about our feelings. So there is joy. Maybe you're happy because, woohoo, I don't have to get up in the morning early. Or sadness. Maybe you're sad because you miss your friends, you miss your teacher. I know I miss you. You miss going outside? Ooh, there's fear. Perhaps you're feeling afraid because, oh my gosh, what is this COVID thing? Oh, I wish it would stop. Anger. Maybe you're really angry that you can't do what you want to do, and things aren't the same, and there may be some added stress at home. Oh my goodness. Or disgust. Yip, yuck, yucky. I'm over this COVID. I am so tired of it all. I'm just disgusted. Yuck. Or surprise. Maybe you're surprised because you didn't know there were so many things that you can do at home. Boys and girls, there's so many wonderful things that we can do when we have strong feelings. The first thing is I want you to be able to feel. Feel you're feeling okay. I know this is what's going on. Maybe your body is all tense, or maybe your face is all frowned up, or maybe you're smiling. Whatever feeling it is, it's okay for you to just feel. If you have a really strong feeling and you just don't know what to do with it, I'm going to give you a couple of tips and one super duper easy for you to do. And that is, yes, you guessed it, our 3 deep breaths. We're going to breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. And it's okay if we make a little sound too. Breathe in and out. In and out. I'm feeling a little bit better. But the third time is the charm. Breathe in and out. Oh, boys and girls, I feel so relaxed. And even if you don't have the other tools that Mrs. Spale is going to show you handy, you always have your breath. Yahoo! So take 3 deep breaths. And that also allows you to take a moment so you can stop, think before you act. Okay? Very good. Now, another thing that you may have handy, or we have in the classroom, that you may have handy is you might have some Play-Doh. If you have a strong feeling, remember we had this in the calm down corner, just need something to squeeze. Squeeze, 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 because I have such a strong feeling. You can use Play-Doh. And I even found this in the Dollar Tree, boys and girls. Another thing, it's coming out right about now because it's springtime. One thing that's coming out right about now because it's springtime, hopefully I didn't shake it up. Oh, Mrs. Spale loves to blow bubbles. Ooh, that's a lot of bubbles right there. And when you take your breath and you blow a bubble, you make something cool, fun. You can even feel the bubbles on your skin that make you nice and calm. And something else you may have is sometimes if I'm really sad, I have a stuffy wuff. Or even I just want a hug. And maybe mommy and daddy or whoever is loving you and taking care of you, maybe they're busy right now and you just need a hug. Hug your stuffy wuff. This is my very special teddy bear. Oh, I just love him so much. Boys and girls, I want to tell you that in a day, Mrs. Spale can feel all these different feelings. And it's okay if you feel more than one. And it's okay if you feel more than one feeling at the same time, or you feel different feelings throughout the day. I have to tell you, boys and girls, Mrs. Spill had a strong feeling. I was a little sad because I have some really great books in my classroom, and I can't get to them right now because I'm staying home and staying safe. And I wanted to read Wimberly Worried to You. And I wanted to read, so many different books that I had. And I didn't. So, you know what? I just took a deep breath. And I told myself that I'm doing the best that I can with what I have. So I found these. Today, I'm going to share with you A Bad Case of Stripes. The title of A Bad Case of Stripes is written by David Shannon. Have you ever heard of stripes? Camilla Cream loved lima beans, but she never ate them. All of her friends hated lima beans, and she wanted to fit in. Camilla was always worried about what other people thought of her. Today she was fretting even more than usual. It was the first day of school and she couldn't decide what to wear. There were so many people to impress. She tried 42 outfits, 4 10s and 2 1s, 42, but none seemed quite right. She put on a pretty red dress and looked in the mirror. Then she screamed, "Ah!" Her mother ran in the room, and she screamed too. "Oh my heavens," she cried. "You're completely covered with stripes." This was certainly true. Camilla was striped from head to toe. She looked like a rainbow. Mrs. Cream felt Camilla's forehead. "Do you feel all right?" she asked. "I feel fine," Camilla answered. "But just look at me. You'll get back in this bed this instant," her mother ordered. "You're not going to school today." Now, you don't want to color yourself stripy so you don't come to school when it's time. But let's see what happens to Camilla. Camilla was relieved. That's a feeling. Relieved is when you just feel, whew, all right, I feel better now. I don't have to do something I didn't want to do. She didn't want to miss their first day of school, but she was afraid what other kids would say. And she had no idea what to wear with those crazy stripes. The next day was a disaster. Everybody at school laughed at Camilla. They called her Camilla Crayon, Night of the Living Lollipop. She tried her best to act as if everything was normal, but when the class said the Pledge of Allegiance, her stripe turned red, white, blue. She broke out in stars. Are you having a hard time pretending that everything is normal right now? That's okay, boys and girls. We know it's not normal. It's a new normal. Not the way it used to be. Then the other kids thought this was great. One yelled out, "Let's see some purple polka dots." Sure enough, Camilla turned all purpley polka dotty. Someone else shouted, "Checkerboard," and a pattern of squares covered her skin. Soon everyone was calling out different shapes and colors, and poor Camilla was changing faster than you can change channels on the TV. Jiminy crickets. That night, Mr. Harms, the school principal, called. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Cream," he said. "I'm going to have to ask you to keep Camilla home from school. She's just too much of a distraction. I've been getting calls from other parents. They're afraid those stripes might be contagious." Camilla was so embarrassed. It's another feeling. She couldn't believe that 2 days ago, everyone liked her. Now nobody wanted to be in the same room with her. Her father tried to make her feel better. "Is there anything I can get you, sweetheart?" he said. "No, thank you," sighed Camilla. What she really wanted was a nice plate of lima beans. But she had been laughed at enough for one day. "Oh, I see, Dapper Dr. Bumble mumbled when Mr. Cream phoned the next day. I think I'd better bring in the specialist. We'll be right over. About an hour later, Dr. Bumble arrived with 4 people in long white coats. He introduced them to the Creams. This is Dr. Grump, Dr. Sponge, Dr. Cricket, and Dr. Young. The specialist went to work on Camilla. They squeezed and jabbed and tapped and tested. It was very uncomfortable. It's another feeling. Well, it's not the mumps, concluded Dr. Gump. Or the measles, said Dr. Sponge.
Definitely not the chickenpox,
said Dr. Cricket. Or sunburn, said Dr. Young. Try these, said the specialist. They each handed her a bottle filled with different colored pills. Take 1 of each before bed, said Dr. Grump. Then they filed out the door, followed by Dr. Bumble.
Do you think those pills
Are what she needs? That night, Camilla took her medicine. It was awful. When she woke up the next morning, she did feel different. But when she got dressed, her clothes did not fit right. She looked in the mirror, and there, staring back at her, was a giant, multi-colored pill with her face on it. Dr. Bumble rushed over as soon as Mrs. Cream called, but this time instead of specialists, he brought experts. Dr. Gord and Dr. Mellon were the finest scientific minds in the land. Once again, Camilla was poked and prodded and looked at and listened to. The experts wrote down lots of numbers. Then they huddled together and whispered. Dr. Gord finally spoke. It could be a virus. He announced with authority. Suddenly, fuzzy little virus balls appeared all over Camilla. Or possibly bacteria, said Mr. Mellon. Out popped squiggly little bacteria. Or it could be a fungus, added Dr. Gord. Instantly, Camilla was covered with different colored fungus. The experts looked at Camilla, then at each other. We need to go over these numbers again and back to the lab. Dr. Gord explained. We'll call you when we know something. But the experts didn't have a clue. Much later. By now, the TV news had found out about Camilla. Reporters from every channel were outside her house, telling the story of the bizarre case of the incredible changing kid. Soon a huge crowd camped out in front of the lawn. The Creams were swamped with all kinds of remedies from psychologists, allergists, herbalists, nutritionists, an old medicine man, a guru, and even a veterinarian. Even so-called cure only added to poor Camilla's strange appearance until it was hard to even recognize her. She sprouted roots and berries and crystals and feathers in the long furry tail, but nothing worked. At that moment, Mr. Cream heard a quiet little knock at the front door. He opened it, and there stood an old woman who was just as plump and sweet as a strawberry.
Excuse me,
she said brightly,
but I think I can help.
She went into Camilla's room and looked around.
My goodness,
she said with a shake of her head.
What have here is a bad case of stripes. One of the worst I've ever seen.
She pulled out a container of small green beans from her bag. Are those magic beans? Said Mrs. Cream.
Oh my, no,
replied the kind old woman.
There's no such thing. These are just plain old lima beans. I bet you'd like some, wouldn't you?
She asked Camilla. Camilla wanted a big heaping plate full of lima beans, more than just anything, but she was still afraid to admit it. Yuck, she said. No one else likes lima beans, especially not me.
Oh dear,
the old woman said sadly.
I guess I was wrong about you.
She put the beans back in her bag and started towards the door. Camilla watched the old woman walk away. those beans would taste so good, and being laughed at for eating them was nothing compared to what she'd been going through all day. She finally couldn't stand it. She said, "Wait!" she cried. "The truth is, I really love lima beans."
I thought so,
the old woman said with a smile. She took a handful of beans and popped them into Camila's mouth. "Mmm," said Camila. Suddenly, the branches, feathers, squiggly tails began to disappear. Then the whole room swirled around. When it stopped, there stood Camila, and everything was back to normal. "I'm cured," she shouted.
"Yes,"
said the old woman.
"I knew the real you was in there somewhere."
She patted Camila on the head. Then she went outside and vanished into the crowd. Look at that, boys and girls. Afterward, Camila wasn't quite the same. Some of the kids at school said she was weird, but she didn't care a bit. She ate all the lima beans she wanted, and she never even had a touch of stripes again. The end. See, boys and girls, the important thing was Camila had very strong feelings, but she was so worried about what other people would think. The best thing that you can be right now is yourself. And that's all anyone can ask, even you. I want you to be able to understand your feelings and think about the great, wonderful self that you are. Bye, and I will see you later.